Thank you again for joining us. My name is Rhonda Lee Davis. I am a Senior Program Officer here at LISC New York. Today we'll be hearing from a number of our partners who are part of the NYLOP program as we conduct our information session for our request for qualifications. If you have questions for our panelists, for our lead presenters, please put all of those in the Q&A box. As we go forward, we'll try to answer as many questions as possible, but we're just asking for everyone to record those questions, not in the chat, but in the Q&A box for today's session. There will also be an opportunity for us to ask and answer questions towards the end of today's presentation. So if you're not able to use the box for any reasons, you can always raise your hand and come off of mute and ask your questions that way. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I want you to join me in welcoming Ms. Monica Dean, who is the Director of Housing here at LISC New York. She's responsible for developing and implementing programs to build capacity and expand opportunities for underrepresented firms owned by people of color or nonprofit mission-based institutions in the real estate industry. She has developed affordable housing policies and programs and established programs to grow capacity in the affordable housing industry and position LISC New York as a premier lender in the affordable housing space statewide. So I'll pass it over now to Monica to talk about NYLOP.
Sure. Thank you so much, Rhonda Lee. And again, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us and taking this time out this afternoon right before the holiday weekend. So I hope that all of you have plans to stay safe and have fun. And so again, this information session is to talk about the request for qualifications for a NYLOP program. And so just a brief, background, all of the work that we do at LISC nationally and on the local level, all of it is in collaboration with our residents and our partners to help us forge resilient and inclusive communities of opportunities across the country. We are specifically focused and again committed to working, in neighborhoods to create places for families to live, work, and play. And so we have been doing this for over 40 years at LISC, and at LISC New York. We are so, excited to be able to work with everyone in our communities, but especially this program, the New York Land Opportunity Program. And so for those of you who may not know LISC, we are a national organization. We have over 38 offices across the country, and we also serve rural communities as well. And again, we do this work, and we've been doing community development work for over 40 years. Next slide, please. We can go to the next slide. So let me just share just a little background, a little information about LISC New York's New York Land Opportunity Program, which we refer to as NYLOP. And so this program was originally designed back in 2016 to provide technical assistance and capacity building to faith-based organizations and mission-driven organizations. Recently, back in 2021, we kind of redeveloped the program and its original concept to expand the services to really support these same organizations with their capacity and to bring their projects to fruition. And so NYLOP works with organizations who own land and who want to develop on their land with an affordable housing component, but they just lack the capacity to do so on their own. And so that's what this program is. It's technical assistance, capacity building to work with faith-based organizations and mission-driven organizations across the state of New York in order to do that. And so some of the services and resources that fall under that umbrella include, but are not limited to, legal support. And we work with Goldstein Hall as our legal consultant firm that works with LISC New York and all of our program participants. We have a development consultant, which you will hear from later, Mr. Jimmy Miller of Sincere Consultant, who I'll introduce. And we also provide architectural support through our architect firm, ESKW. And so, with it, the team of experts and our partners in city and state and federal partners, we are able to provide our NYLOP program participants, with the support and resources on their projects. And then just a little background and context. In April of last year, LISC New York issued a request for expression of interest. We put out applications to these organizations who were interested in joining the program. And so you will hear from today 4 of the 7 2023 program participants and learn a little bit more about their projects as they are seeking to identify co-developers. We, already mentioned this earlier. I talked a little bit about this being a statewide program, but this program was modified last year to increase its capacity beyond the scope of New York City, where we launched a statewide program. And so you'll hear from, 4 of the organizations in the cohort today, 2 of whom are located outside of New York City. And so we have been working with the organizations to help them issue RFPs and RFQs as part of this process. Definitely wanted to highlight the last 2 bullet points here. In September last year in Albany, we held a statewide convening where faith-based organizations across the state gathered. We had a day of learning, a day of sharing best practices, some amazing panelists and keynote speakers who just shared the day, talking not only about resources, but how we can work closer together to help faith-based organizations across New York State and help bring their projects to fruition, but really networking. And so it was a great day of just gathering and everyone coming together. And so I do want to mention that this fall, the fall of 2024, we will release another request for expression of interest for the 2024 NYLOP cohort. So any attendees on the call, if you know of any other faith-based organizations who may be interested in participating in the NYLOP program, we have your email. You can send us an email and we'll make sure that you receive the information for the next round of NYLOP applications that we will release. Next slide. So now I would like to introduce Mr. Jimmy Miller, who I mentioned earlier. Jimmy has been a long time partner of LISC New York. He's been working with us for several years now on a range of different projects, but I'm excited to have the opportunity to work with him on NYLOP. And so Jimmy was working with Liz prior to my arrival in October of 2021. And he and his team have been amazing partners of ours. And so Jimmy has been in this space of affordable housing for quite some time now. He has served in a range of leadership positions, including but not limited to serving as the Deputy Assistant Secretary to the Governor of New York, the Deputy General Manager for NYCHA, and the president of the New York Housing Trust Fund Corporation. And so through his years of experience and expertise, he's led the development of more than 11,000 housing units at a cost of close to $2.5 billion. And so without further ado, Jimmy is going to walk us through the purpose of the RFQ. And then you will hear from the leaders of our organizations who are program participants. And then we'll make sure that we leave time to answer questions. So Jimmy, I am going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Director Dean. Director Dean has talked about the process for selecting the members of the cohort and primarily the purpose of the RFP. As she stated, we work with the members of the cohort to develop a concept plan, and the concept plan forms the basis of this solicitation. And as she previously mentioned, we issued an RFP last year, and we have refined that RFP to an RFQ for the purpose of making the process much simpler. And we'll get into that very shortly. So again, there are 4 projects enumerated in the RFQ, and each of the 4 participants will talk about their projects in a few seconds. There are a requirement in the RFQ that you must have at least 5 years of experience in developing affordable housing of a comparable size and scope to those projects listed in the RFP. You must have completed at least 2 projects of a comparable size and scope within the last 10 years, and you must have experience with equity financing. So those are the minimum requirements in the RFP. Next slide, please. As I stated, there are 4 projects in the RFP. Mount Olive, which is located in Lariwana, Mount Moriah, which is located in Cambria Heights, Queens, the Women's Economic Institute, which is located in Syracuse. And the next slide, please. And Mount Olivet Baptist Church, which is located in Hollis, St. Albans, and also in Queens. So those are the 4 projects that are listed in the RFP. You can submit a response to 1 or 2 or 3. All of the projects are listed in the RFQ. The only stipulation is that you need to delineate in your response which of the projects you are responding to, okay? In addition, since there has been one addendum eliminating 1 project, which is the Episcopal Diocese of Long Island, they are no longer a member of the cohort. So there was an addendum issued to remove them from the RFQ. So please make note of that. You need to note in your response to the RFQ that you are acknowledging that you are in receipt of the addendum, and that it's probably to be a second addendum extending the time frame for submitting the RFQ, the questions to May 29th. So again, if you have the addenda, you would need to acknowledge that you are in receipt of those when you submit your response. In the RFP, there are submission requirements. Those submission requirements are delineated in Part 5 of the RFQ. I misstated, I said RFP, I mean RFQ. Those submission requirements are delineated in the RFQ. And they are requesting the least amount of information necessary for us to determine that you are a fit between your objectives and those of the 4 members of the cohort, that you have the relevant experience to complete the project, and that you have the financial capabilities to be able to make the guarantees and provide the pre-development expenses. So those are the minimum requirements and those are the submission requirements to the RFQ. The process for selecting the respondent will be, we will get the responses to the RFQ. They will be reviewed. There will be a short list. We will have the ability to interview those respondents who make the short list. And then we will select a respondent from that short list, and we will begin negotiations solely with that respondent pursuant to an exclusivity agreement. So that is the process for selecting one or more co-developers with respect to this RFQ. I'll turn it back over to Director Dean.
Sure, thank you, Jimmy, for that. And so now I would like to introduce Pastor Keith Mobley from Mount Olive Missionary Baptist Church, located in Lackawanna, New York. Pastor Mobley serves as the assistant pastor of Mount Olive Missionary Baptist Church for 10 years. In that role, in March 2015, he became the 8th pastor of Mount Olive Missionary Baptist Church, and he also serves as the area vice president for the Baptist Empire Congress of Christian Education for New York State. In addition to that, he's the president of the Baptist Ministers Conference of Buffalo and vicinity, the second vice moderator of the Great Lakes Missionary Baptist Association, and vice president for the City of Lackawanna Community Group, as well as helping many other community organizations. Pastor Mobley received his master's in Christian Studies from the Bible Center College of Rochester, and we're happy to have him join us this afternoon so that he can briefly talk about his project in Lackawanna. And it's a very exciting project. All of them are, but I remember going out to visit Pastor Mobley and his staff and did the site visit, and I was definitely impressed, and I'm excited about the potential and the opportunity that this project will bring to this much needed community in Lackawanna. So Pastor Mobley, I am going to turn it over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. So good to be here. Certainly, we thank you, Ms. Dean, and all that NYLOP and LISC has done thus far with our project. Certainly eager to express our, great desire and looking forward to what we can do and accomplish in the city of Lackawanna. For those who are not familiar with Lackawanna, Lackawanna is a suburb outside of the city of Buffalo. A community of about roughly about 20,000 residents or so, with the median income of each household roughly around 25 to 30,000 a year, and that varies. But this project that we have endeavored to accomplish in the city of Lackawanna is to meet so many different disparities that the city of Lackawanna has. My community is a very hard-impoverished community. It's a mixed and diverse community made up of many different families from many different walks of life. And our project is endeavored to meet some of the needs within the community. We do not have currently a current state of affordable housing. We do have housing in the community, but it has not been updated since the late 80s, early 90s. And they're very outdated and in some cases in deplorable condition. Not only the housing component is a major concern for us as a community, but also there is no daycare within the city of Lackawanna. If you can believe that, there's no daycare within the city of Lackawanna. We are a food desert. There is not a grocery store in the entire city of Lackawanna. We have a lot of corner stores that does not have the produce and the equity that families need to sustain life. So as a church in the community, our heart goes out to how do we accomplish and how do we begin to meet some of the needs that's within our community. This project that was placed in our hearts and this vision that was given unto us was to address all those disparities that we are currently in the midst of. Our community needs these things, and what better place to start than with the church? We are a community church where we reach out and do all kinds of things, services within the community, where we feed the needy, we provide food, we provide clothing, do all the things that we can do to help our community. Our project is unique in its sense because this project is shovel ready. We've gone before the planning and zoning boards, got all the approvals that we need. This project will consist of, and not limited to, 50 units of affordable housing. 20 of those units solely for, 30 of those units solely for our seniors in the community. The other remaining 20 units will be mixed use units with it, which will be based in a commercial mixed space use building. Well, you have residence and commercial space. Also, our project on the campus, we're looking to construct and build a daycare that will provide services for working families within the community. We've already ascertained a MOU with a daycare provider within the community who is signed on and ready to move in once that building is constructed. Not only that, but we're also endeavoring to place on the campus itself a gym space. With our community, there is not a place for our young people to go. Our seniors alike to go to get off the streets and just have a place to commune together. In the wintertime in Buffalo area, we get more snow than some of the other parts of New York State does. But in our community, there is not a safe place for our families, our children to go. There's no Boys and Girls Clubs. There's no YMCA in our community. So our community's project is endeavoring to build not only a gym space, but a place that families can come and serve and have a place that families can come and commune together. So this project is very unique, and it's addresses so many different needs within our community. We have ascertained much support from our government officials, our local, state, and federal officials who have not just spoken about the need of the project, but also have put dollars up towards this project. So we're certainly encouraged by that, and we're looking forward to moving forward with this project. This project has so many different things that it can do for this community. And I pray that as you see this project, if it burns on your heart to be a part of this project, certainly I pray that you make this commitment with us and you move forward with us as we are ready to go, and we're eager to fulfill the needs within this community. So I pray what I have said, something was said today that certainly was encouraging and inviting to you as we endeavor to build this project within the city of Lackawanna. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and thank you so much, Ms. Dean, and certainly to NYLOP and LISC for all that you have done thus far. Thank you so very, very much.
And again, we're excited and happy to work with you, Pastor Mobley, and the team. Did you speak briefly about the number of units as part of this development?
Yes, we have 50 units that we're putting on this project. 30 of those units will be solely for senior housing. There's 1 and 2 bedrooms. And then in the 20 units, it's mixed use building. There's mixed use families and whatnot. And there's 2 and 3 bedrooms as well. 1 and 2 bedrooms as well in that portion as well.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so again, it is a pleasure to introduce to you next Reverend Robert Rees-Lowe from Mount Moriah AME Church. Now in its 38th year, Pastor Lowe has been serving as the pastor there. And as it says here, I had an opportunity to visit this church and the team there, the energy and the project. There's a lot of potential here as well. And so Reverend Lowe Ministry has completely just changed the trajectory of Mount Moriah, which is now affectionately called Moriah City, and is the 2nd largest ministry in the New York Conference. So under Reverend Lowe's leadership, Moriah City provides an array of programs that address the spiritual and socioeconomic concerns of the church and the community as a whole. Reverend Lowe is an active community leader who serves as the New York City District Attorney, Melinda Katz Advisory Board. He did his undergraduate studies at C.W. Post University and has continued his theological and graduate studies at the New Brunswick Theological Seminary and Southern Christian University. So without further ado, it's a pleasure to introduce Reverend Lowe to talk about his project and what they are proposing and hoping to bring to fruition. So turn it over to you.
Thank you, Monica, and welcome to everybody on this meeting. I was listening to Pastor Mobley because I served up in that Lackawanna area. I served in that Buffalo, Niagara Falls area for 6 years back in the 80s when I was a child. No, I was grown, but it was back in the 80s. And just to know that the expanse of land that they have there is very impressive. And when you have to come to New York City, as Pastor Franco will tell you, we have very limited space in New York City and have to be very creative in how we use that space. With that being said, right now we're building on an 8,000 square foot lot. And we are building a 19,000, it's almost 20,000 square foot building on there, but that's including the lower level, which is not really supposed to be included in the square footage. And there are 14 units of housing that we're able to build as of right now. And we know that not that we are a housing desert, but we are overpriced in our area. It is very difficult for first-time homeowners to buy in New York City. The average cost of a 2-bedroom apartment is now maybe $2,200 a month. So it is very difficult for persons to get housing. So we wanted to meet that need. With that being said, we were only able to put on this particular lot at this time 14 units. But there is a bill coming out. It's called the City of Yes. And we've been talking with many of the officials, and that is to change the zoning in our area. And so we believe that we're going to be included in that City of Yes to upzone to build more units. We don't know how many just as of yet, but we're looking forward to that. As was said, of course, we do all of the things in the community. We feed close to maybe 80, 90, 100,000 persons a year. And we do many of the things that we do. We have a program that deals with HIV and AIDS. Of course, we were very active during the pandemic, doing those testing programs, many programs that Mariah City has. I have my COO, Dr. Barbara Talley, on the line. If she wants to chime in and say something, she can, because she is really the one spearheading this project. And are you on the line, Dr. Talley? I guess she's not. She should be on.
She's here. Rhonda Lee, can you give Dr. Talley audio?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Dr. Barbara Talley here. Yes, I definitely concur with Reverend Lowe in regards to the need for more affordable housing within the Cambria Heights area, the Southeast Queens area. We're definitely working towards trying to, as Reverend Lowe said, upgrade the capacity in which we can build on. Some of the other programs that we have been working on is more health-related programs. We're increasing our health-related programs. We are now implementing a mental health program in which we are offering counseling and counseling resources to community members that addresses depression and anxiety. And if we look at the health issue, housing scarcity is also related to mental health. So they work in conjunction with each other. So if we can increase our housing, then we can possibly reduce the mental health and anxiety that we're dealing with within our community members. So we do have a holistic ministry. We are working with the mind, body, and the spirit in order to help our community members achieve that holistic perspective. So we're just looking for the opportunity to increase what we can do in the Southeast Queens area. Thank you.
But in closing, I just want to thank LISC for walking us through this. They've been very helpful in walking us through all of the different things with the architect and coming up with the plans. And so thank you so very much, Jimmy and Monica and all those from LISC. It was a pleasure. As I said, they came out and they walked the properties. And as I said, she said the church is 30. I know I've been there. I'm going on 39 years at the church right now. So I've been at this church for 39 years and we're looking for greater to happen. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Lowe and Dr. Talley. Thank you so much for that. Next, I would like to introduce, so you can hear from Ms. Charlene Tarver, who is the CEO of the Women's Economic Institute in Syracuse, New York. And so Ms. Tarver is a native Syracusan. She's lived for more than 33 years in major metropolitan markets across the country, doing what she loves and is very passionate about, which is representing, training, and empowering Black and Indigenous people of color, women entrepreneurs, and female leaders. She's an author, a professor, a former tax and business attorney, turned public policy advocate, and again, the CEO of the Women's Economic Institute, which is a policy community economic development nonprofit organization. Ms. Tarver earned a tax LMM and a CEBS from Georgetown Law School, a Juris Doctorate from SUNY Buffalo School of Law, and a bachelor's in sociology from NYU. And so I am happy to be joined by Ms. Tarver to hear more about the project that they are proposing and is well underway in Syracuse. So Ms. Tarver, I am going to turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Dean, and to the LISC family and the Sincere family. Thank you all so much for the amazing work and support that you have provided us in this project. Where we are to date, we would not be able to be there were it not for the support of LISC. This has been presented as a 9% low-income housing tax credit project. It includes 61 units of senior rental housing, as well as a public-facing food hall, which includes 8 kiosks, and a retail incubator, which includes about 5 retail shops. So it is 2 elevator buildings, 4 stories each. It's spread out over 1.3 acres of land, $30 million. It includes also a daycare, an event space, a senior rooftop garden. There's a small market for residents, as well as a community space for meetings and workforce development. There's a fitness center that's built into the space. So what we really have tried to do is create a micro community, a community services facility that will serve a community that historically has been marginalized. Syracuse has the highest concentration of Black and brown child poverty in the country. Our numbers in terms of our annual median incomes are significantly low, especially within the inner city and where the largest population of African-American residents live in this city. In addition to a lot of the health disparities, there is a significant need for more small business growth, for job creation and workforce development opportunities. And at the Women's Economic Institute, what we really wanted to do was create something that would help to drive economic sustainability in the community. And so we are excited to answer any questions today, but really to find a mission-based co-developer that can come on board, roll up your sleeves, and really help us to bring this transformative project into this community where there is a significant need. Thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you, Ms. Tarver. Thank you for that overview. And again, thanks for all the great work that you and the Women's Economic Institute are doing there. We have one more presenter or one more project, and we will hear from Dr. Franco Harris of Mount Olivet Missionary Baptist Church, where he serves as the pastor of Hollis and Hollis Queen. So under his administration, Mount Olivet has grown both numerically and financially during his tenure. He's vitalized many projects that's been completed, and many more are in the pipeline. Dr. Harris promotes his nonprofit organization, Franco's Academy of Music Education, where he serves as president and CEO in the endorsement of music education for the inner city youth. Dr. Harris received a Master's of Professional Studies in Urban Youth Ministry, a Master's of Divinity in Religious Studies, and completed his Doctor of Ministry degree concentrating in worship, spirituality, and preaching at Drew University. Dr. Harris, it's a pleasure to have you with us this afternoon as well. And I am going to turn it over to you so you can share a little bit about the work that you're doing and in the project that's included in the request for qualifications.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Dean. I sound better on paper than I do in person. So thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I greatly appreciate it. Also, I just want to thank Mr. Jimmy and also to Dr. Lowe, who is also not too far away from me, right around the corner. So he did most of the work for me before I even had to do it. So thank you, Dr. Lowe, for assisting me on today. We're combating many of the same issues. We want to build a 23-unit building consisting of studio, 1-bedroom, and 2 bedrooms. We also desire to have a space on the bottom floor that can be used for a multi-purpose event space for people to celebrate birthdays, anniversaries, book signings, and many other things that they may have as a sense of building community within our area. And so those are then we have 4 lots that are available: 201-11, 201-15, 201-19, and 201-17 are the lots that we plan to develop in this project. And also we're trying to meet the high demand of gentrification that's going on in our area. Our area is rapidly changing right before our eyes. And so we want to make sure that we have affordable housing within the community to help those that may not have a job that may be a good living wage. And so those individuals would have a nice affordable house to come to. And also, this is a highly single family. This was one of the largest highly single family Black owned homeowners in the community of Queens. And now we're seeing that evaporate right before our eyes. And so we want to try to combat some of those things and also be on the forefront of putting people in affordable housing and giving them an opportunity to get their own housing as well. So those are some of the things that we plan to do. One of the things we desire to do is to build this new project in the same design and format of our current church, because we had a Black architect that built this building by the name of Harry T. Simmons, who was a famous architect in that time, also built the AT&T building in Manhattan. Also 3 churches in the area are also built and designed by him. That's the St. Albans Baptist Church and also the Allen AME also were built by Harry T. Simmons. And so we want this project to be built in the same design that he had built in those other buildings, which consist of stone and wood. And so we desire to see that as well in this building project. And also we desire to make sure that we are making sure that we put healthy options within this space so possible. organic store or Starbucks or something within the community that the people can utilize to help them in this community and make it a better place. We have many vacant stores in the area. We have many places that have not come back after COVID-19. So we have to revitalize a lot of the stores and buildings and spaces in the Hollis area so that people can utilize these spaces within their community. They shouldn't have to leave this community to go get a coffee or to go get healthy options. So we want to make sure that they have those options right here within their community. So those spaces will be utilized for that in our new building project. So thank you so much, Ms. Dean and Mr. Jimmy, for your time, and also to those that plan to work with us in this project and to build it. I also have my chair of trustees, Deacon Demetri McKay, who is also with me today, who has also been assisting us in this project. And so I want to thank him as well.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Harris. You know, we too at LISC, again, we are supporting all of the cohort participants and hoping that they will be able to, with our support, identify a co-developer that can help bring these projects to fruition. So again, I want to reiterate how much of a pleasure it's been working with all of you, to have you a part of this cohort. And again, we're in it for the long haul. We're looking forward to see you know, where we are years down the road with these projects and their progress. So again, thanks again for joining us. I do want to turn it back over to you, Jimmy. I know you covered some of the co-developer scope of work a little bit, but if you want to walk us through the co-developer scope of work, and then we'll have time for some questions and answers, and Rhonda Lee will review the timeline for us, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. But again, if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A box. We can also go live. You can ask your questions live, or you can type them into the chat. So Jimmy, I'm turning it back over to you.
Okay, for the sake of time and make sure we have time for questions, I'm going to say that the role of the MDO and FBOs and the role of the co-developers are outlined in part 2 of the RFQ. And then if there are questions that you have, you can of course ask them during the Q&A session. So that's all I'm going to say about that, Director Dean.
Okay, and so next slide, please, and then we can, you know, leave that up. Do you want to go over the evaluation criteria briefly? You're on mute, Jimmy.
As I said earlier, we're looking for partners who have the development experience and the financial capabilities to help the members of the cohort complete their projects. So the criteria is centered around those 2 components. We'll be looking at your staff experience, the key business terms. We're not asking you to submit those with the response. They will be discussed and negotiated later. They have been removed from the RFQ. The methodology also, as we'll be talking about that in
meetings.
part 2 of the RFQ. So again, we'll be focusing on your experience and your capacity and your commitment to BIPOC, WBE, and MBE experiences. So we have streamlined the evaluation criteria along with streamlining the submission requirements. That's it, Director Dean.
Thank you, Jimmy. Rhonda Lee, want to briefly run us through the timeline, and then we'll have time for Q&A.
Sure thing. Thanks, Monica. So after today, we are asking that if you have any additional questions after, you know, reviewing the material, or after, you know, thinking about some of the things you heard today on the presentation, to please send us your questions by next Wednesday, May 29th. These questions can be sent to the NYLOP inbox, which is on your screen at nylop.list.org. The deadline, we have extended that from Monday, the 27th to Wednesday, the 29th. After our questions are received, we will post the responses on the LISC New York NYLOP page by the end of day, Monday, June 3rd. And then finally, our response date to apply for these opportunities or to express or send in your qualifications is on Monday, June 10th at 3 p.m. And now if you have any questions at all for the team at LISC New York, our consultants at Sincere, or our panelists, please drop them in the chat. Drop them in the Q&A box, or if you would like, you can come off of mute to ask questions as well. And I don't believe we have any questions, so.
Guess we did a very thorough job, team. I don't see any questions in the chat. I don't see any hands. Okay, I do see. Jessica Tan has a question.
So let me just take you off of mute, Ms. Tan, 1 moment. There you go.
Hello, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great, thank you so much. My question is toward the project in Syracuse, the Women's Economic Institute. I'd just like to understand where the project currently is at in terms of its status, if it has planning approval already, or where in the development schedule the project sits.
Again,
So-
Ms. Tarver.
Yes. So in terms of where the project sits, Ms. Stan, we've received project-based vouchers from Syracuse Housing Authority. We've also received our LOIs from Chase Bank for the construction loan, Enterprise for a permanent mortgage, and then also from the tax credit syndicator, Redstone Equity. We've done the initial design work for the project. We've brought in 3 engineers, MEP, Site Civil and Structural, who have stamped and provided narratives for the project. We've completed the environmental study. No phase 2 was recommended. We've also completed our housing market analysis for the project. And we are now pursuing some additional dollars, both philanthropic and other, for the project as well. We have a significant amount of support from our local community, as well as from our local elected officials, as well as community stakeholders for the project. So we are considering gearing up for the next round of low-income housing tax credits for the project, and are looking forward to bringing on a co-developer who can help us to continue to move the project forward.
Wonderful, thank you. You've progressed significantly. And so my next question would be specifically what you would like to see your co-development partner bring to the table. Sounds like you've got many elements pulled together quite nicely.
Thank you. I think what we're looking for is really to have someone a co-developer whose mission aligns with our mission, truly understanding that this project is focused on economic development and economic stabilization. So it is very important to us that this really be a project that is about creating jobs and creating small business opportunities within this community, as well as quality senior affordable housing. So I think that really for us is the big focus here.
Got it. And then in terms of the co-developer, is it really bringing the guarantees and the equity? Or I guess what, from a business perspective, are you looking for?
So I think from a business perspective, and I know Mr. Miller covered this, we are really looking for a co-developer who has the requisite number of years of experience, who has worked on a project comparable to this project in size, and who would be able to bring a balance sheet as well as the guarantees for the construction and the permanent mortgage, the construction loan and the permanent mortgage.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? If you have a question and would like to ask your question live, just put a note in the Q&A box. We have about 9 more minutes. Any other questions? I'm happy to see some developers on the call from our developers program at LISC New York. I won't shout you out, but I do see you here.
Hey, Ms. Dean,
Yes.
could you put the schedule back up again? Rhonda Lee. Okay. Just want to reiterate that you can still submit your questions to us up until May the 29th to the address shown there. So you do have another opportunity to submit questions. And probably more importantly, I want to reiterate that the deadline is Monday, June the 10th, 3 p.m.
See any other questions? Ronald, you want to put the contact information up on the screen? People can screenshot it or feel free to visit the LISC New York website and visit our affordable housing page where you will find contact information. But again, if you have any other thoughts, comments, and/or questions, feel free to send an email to us at nylop@lisc.org. Again, that's nylop@lisc.org. You can email myself, Rhonda Lee Davis, or Jimmy Miller regarding any questions or comments. So I don't see any other questions, so I am happy to adjourn and end this webinar. I want to thank everyone for joining us this afternoon. We're looking forward to receiving, hopefully, some applications in response to this request for qualifications on behalf of the 4 organizations that you heard from today. And again, if you have any other questions or comments, feel free to reach out to us. Ms. Tarver, I see your hand up. Go right ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to do a very, very quick plug for a legislative luncheon that LISC will be hosting in Syracuse, New York, at the Women's Economic Institute. So we definitely want to invite everyone to please come out. It's an opportunity to learn much, much more about our projects, and also to have the opportunity to meet. So we would love to have you join us. I believe that I'm going to let Ms. Dean give us the details on that, or Mr. Miller, but I didn't want to close without putting in a plug.
Good call.
Jimmy, you want to do the plug? And we also—
No, I'm gonna let you guys do the plug.
Okay, I'll give it. So it will be held June 4th at 11:30 a.m. It's in Syracuse, New York, at the home of the Women's Economic Institute. We are located in the Lincoln Building. That's at 109 Otisco Street. We're on the 2nd floor, and that is the 13204 zip code. There will be a formal invite released this week. So again, we do encourage you to please come out and join us. We cannot move these projects forward, these very critical affordable housing projects forward, without the support of so many of you who are significantly experienced in the development work that is needed desperately across the state of New York. So we encourage and invite you to please come and join us. Have a great rest of the day.
We
Thank you.
actually have a
Thank you.
hand raised.
Yeah.
Miss, sorry, I can't see your last name. Miss Sylvia Koth, I believe that was. Your
Hi, good afternoon, close, Kothia.
Do you have a question?
I do, yes. In regarding to, thank you so very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Glad to join you all. I wanted to speak on specifically as far as the criteria as far as organizations. Is it mission? I think it says mission driven or faith-based organizations. I'm aware about the faith-based organizations, but can you give me a little bit more? What are would be the requirements as a mission-driven, or what would be a mission-driven to be a co-developer? If I'm saying it correctly.
You do not need to be a mission-driven organization or a
Or can you be?
faith-based organization to submit response to be a co-developer. The groups that we serve, that you'll be partnering with, they are either mission-driven organizations or faith-based organization. You can be a private enterprise and also submit the response. So I just want to make that very clear.
Okay. Okay, great. So yeah, that's my inquiry.
Okay. I just want to make sure I'm not stepping. I think there's also going to be an event in Lackawanna on June the 5th, I do believe. Just want to make that plug as well. I don't have the details in front of me, but that'll be going out as well. So we will be in beautiful Lackawanna, I do believe, on June 5th, following our visit to the great city of Syracuse on June 4th.
Yes, June 5th at 10. And what we'll do, we will circulate both invitations to everyone who registered for this webinar. So they will receive both invitations to both events. And so these are very intimate conversations, events at the locations, one at the Women's Economic Institute, and then at Mount Olive Church in Lackawanna on the 5th. Come here and learn more about their projects, their organizations. You can see the sites. They're in very close proximity to the venue. And, we're looking forward to hosting these information and those sessions on the 4th in Syracuse, and the 5th will be in Lackawanna with Pastor Mobley and his team at the church. And so again, we will email both invitations out to everyone on the call. Okay, I don't think there are any other questions. It's 2:59. Again, I just want to reiterate on behalf of LISC New York and Sincere and our cohort participants, thanks for joining us, for sitting in and listening to the information that we shared. Again, questions are due next Wednesday. The applications in response to the RFQ, they're due on Monday, June 10th. So I want to thank you again for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day and have a very safe and fun, enjoyable holiday weekend to those of you who will be celebrating. So I will adjourn the webinar. Thank you.